Are any of you coming to Shakespeare? Ananth, I'm sure you're coming, right? You always came to the big shows. Liz, you gonna come? Oh, okay. Well, we're just starting sign up, so right now there's plenty of spots, so you can think about it. Comes Allison. Hi, Allison. Yeah, we're gonna, you'll be able to do a waiver and meet us there. That is an option. Just so you all know, and I don't know if this is a choice, but I can't see any of you. And it is your choice. But oh, 3 participants now. Hi, everybody. Hi, Sophie. I'm Alicia Tomasian. Kimmy thought she was going to be able to come, but she can't. Let's picture that. Oh, uh-oh. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can control that. Hold on a second, Sophie. Participants. Anyone can share, mute on entry. If I, let me think of this. Anyone can share and write in your mind. Mute me, invite, remind. Hi, Jordan. We were all muted. Okay, hold on a second. I'm gonna unmute all. Okay.
Oh, I think that worked.
Okay.
Because I can click
yeah, I can hear you now. I'm so sorry about that. It's John's meeting room, and he's going to be joining us in a few minutes. So I wasn't quite sure how he had it set up. So I apologize to everybody. Okay. So anyhow, Sophie, I was saying Kimmy thought she was going to be able to come, but she can't. So.
Okay, no worries, no worries.
Jordan, how's life treating you?
Pretty good. I can't complain. I actually just got back last night from visiting my brother in Spain. So
wow, that's awesome.
Just returned from Spain. Yeah.
That's awesome. Where in Spain?
Exciting. He is in Seville, Spain. It was awesome. Me and my partner spent 2 days in Madrid and then like 5 days with them in Seville, and then we went to Granada for 2 days. And then we came home. But the flight home was interesting. It was we tried to find the cheapest tickets we could. So it took us a total of about 22 hours to actually get home.
Oh my God.
So it was quite the journey home.
And did you have somebody snake sit?
Yeah, someone watched our snake and our oxalato and our dog, which was nice.
What's an oxalato?
An oxalato is, like a salamander is.
Oh, yes. Okay. All right.
Yeah, so it's like that, but it lives exclusively underwater, and it's also entirely blind. So it's the most adorable, dumbest animal you've ever seen in your life, but it's very cute.
Is it those little pink lizards?
Yeah, so some are pink, and then ours is the kind of whitish see-through color. So they can be brown, they can be white see-through, or they can be pink. But the white ones, I think, are the coolest just because you can see their internal organs. So you can like literally see its heart beating and everything. It's pretty cool.
Wow. Well, I'm sure everybody loves a see-through pet. And it sounds like you also like less intelligent pets with the snake and all. But that's nice. That's great. All right. So, and by the way, am I going to see you on Saturday? Will you be there on Saturday?
I will be here Saturday. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I guess we should get started. Professor Garcia will be show and tell. Right, we might have to see some images. For those of you who are going to Lake Forest on Saturday, I'm sure that Jordan will share images of his see-through salamander type creature, as well as pictures of the snake. The cat is a normal pet, so that's
dog. I don't have a cat. I don't like cats.
Right.
I'm not a cat person.
Okay. So hopefully we'll see images of his exotic pets when we go to Lake Forest. But first, let me introduce, this is the first of our big transfer sessions, and we are thrilled to have with us here today. I think I'm going to say your last name wrong. Is it Sophie Lickler?
Licklider.
Licklider, I'm sorry. Sophie Licklider from Elmhurst College and Jordan Kindle from Lake Forest, who Jordan's actually a former Harper Honors student, a Hawk. And for those of you going to Lake Forest with me on Saturday, we will see Jordan there and get to see pictures, hopefully, of his creatures. So I'm not sure. Probably both of you want to give a little spiel, and then we have questions for you. I don't know if anybody has to go or has a preference, or does anybody need to go first? Seeing as Sophie's perhaps the newer guest, perhaps we should invite her to go first because she is replacing, you're the new Val, right? Who was a Harper Honors student and in fact got the Elmhurst scholarship and then stayed and worked at Elmhurst College for a long time and has just recently moved on. So very excited to get to know Sophie and hear about transferring to Elmhurst. So why don't we start with you?
Awesome. I'm going to see if I can share my screen.
You should be able to share your screen, but let me see, because I have all attendee. Wait, I have anyone can share. So let me know if you have trouble, but I think you should be able to.
You will see. I can just talk too. I'm not great at technology. I'm young, but I'm not great at technology. All right. I'm just going to talk, and I hope that's fine. If you guys have questions, after the fact, I'm going to put my email and contact information in the chat, so you can always, chat me for like specifics. But hello, I am Sophie Licklider. I am a transfer admission counselor at Elmhurst University. Even though I didn't go to Harper, I was a transfer student myself, so I know the transition and the process and everything. But a little bit about Elmhurst, if you guys don't really know too much. We actually just switched from a college to a university last July, so that was super exciting. It kind of just moves us closer to like PhD programs. But we are a small liberal arts university located like right in the downtown heart of Elmhurst, and about 5-minute walk from the train station that can take you right into downtown Chicago. We have more than 70 majors and over 50 minors. Some of our most popular majors are nursing, education, business, psychology, and our speech language pathology program, which we call it our communication sciences and disorders program. And today I'm just kind of talk about like our honors program that we have at Elmhurst, and then our full tuition scholarship opportunity, and then any of our other like alternative scholarship opportunities if you don't receive the full tuition scholarship. So a little bit about the honors program at Elmhurst. I just like to talk a little bit about it because it's just a really great opportunity, especially since you guys are already in an honors program. We do accept transfer honors credit into our honors program. So if you're like, how am I going to get, that many semester hours done within my program? And, being a part of this honors program, well, we accept, up to 14 semester hours of honors credit. So you already got kind of a lot done there then, which is pretty nice. We have 3 levels. So again, like if you feel like you can't do like the full amount, then, there's a few different levels that you can kind of be at and still be within the program. So the first level is honors program member. That is going to be 19 semester hours of honors credit with a B or better, and then at least 1 honors class at a 300, 400 level. And then there's the next level, which is the honors program scholar. And you must complete 26 semester hours of honors credit with a B or better. And that must include an independent research component or an honors 400 level seminar. And then the last one is a global scholar. And then that's like the highest level, and it's basically everything that the scholar is, but then you can also complete a credit bearing study abroad program. So if like you're a transfer student that's like, I really still want to be able to do, a study abroad program and the honors program and my major, and you want to do it all, this kind of like lets you do it all, kind of killing a bunch of birds with one stone. But we right now, like COVID permitting, there's certain places that we can go and certain places that we can't. So, you'd be able to take courses there. It's, the type of classes during the honors program are even smaller than the classes that we have here on campus. They're more discussional based. So it's just, if that's kind of your vibe, I would definitely recommend, trying to be a part of that program. There's other opportunities that the honors program has as well, like that we're able to present at national conferences, all expenses paid. There's like a bunch of videos on our website of just like past students and their experiences and which conferences they've gone to and presented at. So just like really great things that you can put on your resume and just good experience. And then, so that's the honors program. And I can always like talk more about it. I do have a webinar coming up with the assistant director of the honors program, November 17th at 3 p.m. So if you guys are available, I think it's a Wednesday, then you can ask even more questions about the honors program to the assistant director. He's really, really great and super helpful. But the full tuition scholarship is probably like the main reason I come and talk, because it's the most exciting thing we have at Elmhurst for honors program members at Harper. So this scholarship is offered to 1 member of the Harper Honors Program each year. So it's a fall start only. And it's valued at our full tuition cost for 2 years. So that would be like around $39,575. You don't have to reapply for it. It'll be like automatically, offered to you each year that you're here. And to be eligible, so on our end, we have like our certain requirements. I know sometimes, Harper will put in place their own requirements, and you can get that from either Professor Garcia or Alicia. And then, you kind of have to get both of those things done. But for our requirements, you have to be a member of the Harper Honors Program and have a 3.5 GPA or higher. And then you must have applied and been admitted into Elmhurst as a full-time student. So, that fall start term and then the full-time is really like the main thing. And then that 3.5 GPA. And then the decision is chosen by the Harper Honors Program, and applications are through you guys as well. And then students that don't receive the full tuition scholarship, do not worry, we have other scholarships. We have our merit scholarships. Our Transfer Excellence is our top tier scholarship that ranges from $18,000 to $20,000 a year, depending on GPA. And then we have also like our PTK scholarship. If you're not a part of PTK yet, I would highly recommend joining. I know sometimes there's a fee to join, but we do offer scholarships that range from 2,000 to 3,000 if you're on that like 3.25 to 4.0 scale. And so, yeah, it might be a fee, but you get that money off in the long run. So it just, is another way to get some scholarship money. And then we have a few other stackable scholarships that can be stacked on top of those two. So like legacy, like if your parents or grandparents have been to Elmhurst and graduated, and or American Dream if your parents are your first generation and your parents like don't have a degree higher than associates. But yeah, that's pretty much my spiel. I'm sorry I couldn't put up a presentation, but I will put my information in the chat if you guys need more.
So folks, a lot of Harper students go to Elmhurst and are very happy there, and particularly in the honors program. A couple interesting things about Elmhurst is it's a small, in some ways it's a small college, but then it has some of those pre-professional majors. So that's sort of a rare combination, which is sort of interesting. So you can do sort of a liberal arts kind of major, or they also have a number of those pre-professional programs. That's right, Sophie?
No, that is. We have like a lot of like, there's so many different ones to kind of just set you up in the best way if you're looking into like pre-law, pre-dentistry, pre-med, like all of it. And we have a health professions advisor that kind of works with you to, schedule like those types of classes that you would need in order to get into that next degree, which is kind of nice. So you're not just kind of like blindly doing it yourself.
Yeah, in fact, a lot of our students who transfer there end up doing nursing. And I know, for example, one of our alums got a really good job in an OR coming right out of that program. One other interesting thing that I think is kind of rare about Elmhurst, and you'll hear more about these kinds of things when you go to Garcia's guide, but Elmhurst does technically have a religious affiliation, and it's one that's extremely rare. It's United Church of Christ. So because of that, it's very dedicated, and by the way, it's completely ecumenical. There are people of all faiths and no faith there, but because of that, I think it has this extra dedication to social justice, which I think is one really interesting thing about the school. That's a powerful commitment that, to a certain extent, comes through that affiliation. Anyhow, I'll shut up now. Questions for Sophie?
Or if you guys wait sorry, I'm late, everyone. If you want to wait, and you can ask questions of both Sophie and Jordan at the same time.
That's a good idea. Okay.
We hear from Jordan.
Well, why don't we then hear from Jordan about Lake Forest?
Yeah, sure. I can definitely do that. Let me see if I can share here.
Should be able to, I hope. Sophie, I'm not sure why you weren't able to. I'm sorry about that.
I know I can't, it says that anybody can share. Oh, but now it looks like Jordan. Okay.
Honestly, it's probably user error, so it's nothing that.
All right. Can you guys see that in PowerPoint mode?
I can see it.
All right. Cool. Sweet. So my name is Jordan. I'm an assistant director of transfer admissions over here at Lake Forest College. I am an alum of Lake Forest. I'm an alum of Harper College. I was in Harper's honors program. I'm going to touch base with y'all on a few things, just kind of a general overview of Lake Forest to give you a little information about the institution. I'll talk about scholarships, financial aid, transferring credits, some of the partnerships and opportunities that we have with the honors program, as well as just Harper College in general. And then definitely will kind of give you some information in terms of how to contact me if you do want to learn more or want to apply to Lake Forest or anything like that. So to start, though, Lake Forest is located in Lake Forest, Illinois. It's right about 30 miles north of Chicago from Harper. Pretty much almost all Harper students are within commuting distance for Lake Forest College if you want to. The drive is generally takes me when I go out to Harper about, but depending on traffic, about 40 to 45 minutes in total. But it is definitely pretty easy to access. And then we also do, for those of you who are interested in having a residential college experience. We do have 12 different residence halls on campus that are all accessible to transfer students, as well as what we now call the transfer living learning community that you can opt into, but is not required for you if you want to live in a community of students who also are all transfers to the college. So if you want that experience, that is something that is accessible to you now. In terms of a little bit about our student body and our community on campus, we are just shy of about 1,600 students, with 43 different states represented and 96 different countries, which I think is actually one of the coolest aspects of Lake Forest, and I'll touch a little bit more on with that. But our student-to-teacher ratio is about 12-1. Average class size is about 19 students per class. So it is a rather kind of tight-knit, hands-on learning environment, and our top majors are communication, business, economics, finance, biology, and psychology. Not necessarily in that order, but those being the top 6 in general. But let me see here. So the first thing I would like to kind of touch on with y'all is kind of what makes Lake Forest unique. And I think one of the first things with that would be kind of the programmatic or pragmatic approach to education, the really kind of liberal arts model. With Lake Forest, we really do put a huge emphasis on real world experience. So right now, our kind of career placement rate of getting students either into a job or into grad school within 6 months of graduating is at 96%, which kind of crazy is actually a bit of a step down with COVID. We had a slight setback with that. We were at 98%, are expecting to kind of rise those numbers back up, but with the kind of all the effects in the job market, right, as COVID hit, we did have a slight decline there, but we are still extremely proud of the 96%. And one of the main ways that we're able to get our students into those careers is by really bolstering their resumes. And so we have, it is a requirement that students have to do either an internship, a research project, or a study abroad. You can do multiple of those. You can actually do up to 3 internships for credit if you wanted to, but you could also do an internship, a research project, and a study abroad, kind of however you want to do it. And you can do 3 semesters actually off campus. You can do several study abroads as well. But that real world experience we find really kind of helps our students be rather attractive once they graduate, finishing their undergraduate and getting into that job world or into those grad school programs, which is pretty awesome. We also have our In the Loop program, which I'll touch a little bit more on. It's really just a off-campus domestic study abroad, which sounds kind of goofy, but it's really an opportunity where if you want to experience what it's like to live, study, and intern in the Chicagoland area, then we do have a second facility downtown where you can take advantage of that. Really kind of experience the best of both worlds, doing Lake Forest and then doing either a semester, a year, or a summer, actually living and studying and working in the city, which is pretty cool. But all of those factors are pretty big for us and kind of what makes us a little bit more unique as a kind of small liberal arts institution. The other thing is, as I was kind of touching on, the focus on careers. So we will assign you a career advancement advisor from the first day on campus. And that advisor will help you with writing resumes, cover letters, mock interviews, helping you search our online database Handshake to figure out, what job or internship or research opportunities off campus are available to you. They'll also, I just think this is kind of cool, we even have something that's called the Career Closet, which can supply you with career ready attire if you don't have those things, to really make you kind of as presentable and enticing to organizations and companies as we possibly can. Additionally, we have 11 professional staff in our Career Advancement Center, which is twice the national average for colleges and universities in the United States. So that does give you a ton of face time where they take walk-ins or regular appointments at the Career Advancement Center. So it really does help you out with that. And that also kind of leads into our what we call career pathways, which are basically career-specific pathways where if you know what type of field you want to go into, we will figure out how to connect you with alumni, trustees, faculty, and staff at the college to really make sure that if there are opportunities on or off campus that you should be taking advantage of, that you know how to get into those. The last thing in terms of our careers, our Career Advancement Center does an amazing job with networking events. So Speed Networking and Career Palooza are 2 of our most popular ones, but these are really just great ways for you to meet kind of companies and organizations within the Chicagoland area and have a kind of 5 to 10 minute window to really introduce yourself, trade business cards, pass resumes, and explain why you would be a good fit there. majority of our students actually find internships or in a lot of cases actually careers at these events themselves, which is pretty awesome. The last thing that I think actually really makes Lake Forest pretty unique as a kind of small private liberal arts college is diversity on campus. So this is something that for us is not just something that we are excited about as an institution, but it's a rather foundational aspect of our college and our community. As an admissions office, we really try and go above and beyond to represent as many different, students from different backgrounds, states, countries, economic statuses, everything like that, to really make sure that Lake Forest does have a kind of culture and community that it allows students to grow and learn from each other. And I think the best way that we could really do so is by having these types of events. DEI, or diversity, equity, and inclusion work, is something that is very big on campus. It's constantly growing and changing, and constantly something that we are trying to implement more of. We have our kind of campus-wide diversity, equity, and inclusion events that go on campus. We have a huge kind of spread of different, both what we call empowerment and supportive organizations to kind of support different groups on campus and empower our student body. We also have community caucuses where you're able to really talk directly to the head administration at our campus. So really being able to sit down in office hours, for example, with the president of the college, the person who really has more control than anyone else at this institution, which is really just kind of one of the huge benefits of being a small liberal arts college. But I also think that we have some really cool opportunities with just events on campus where you can meet people, such as, like dinners from home, which is an opportunity for students to actually cook dinners where other students, faculty, and staff can come and enjoy meals and learn about different cultures and backgrounds, and things like that, that really allow students to bring their cultures to campus rather than, having students come from across the world and expecting them to assimilate to an institution. We want people to bring their cultures and backgrounds, and for students to be able to learn and grow from each other, which is really cool. Now, kind of transitioning into Lake Forest and Harper and our associations together. So we have the guaranteed admission specifically for honor students, which is pretty cool, and actually allows you to apply to Lake Forest while waiving the essay requirement. So it'll allow you to actually transition into Lake Forest in a bit of a smoother process with that. We have pathway programs for economics, business, finance, arts, and humanities. And those pathway programs give you guaranteed scholarship opportunities, give you early access to academic advisors in both the Career Advancement Center and in the academic departments in which you're interested in, as well as if you come to Lake Forest and do well in your first semester, getting basically a 3.6 GPA or higher, then you actually can get a free course in your following semester as a 5th course addition, which is pretty cool. The other thing that I will talk about is scholarships, which is huge. It's one of the most important things as students are transitioning from a community college, especially into a 4-year university. So general merit scholarships can go up to about $32,000 per year for transfer students. Or if you're a member of Phi Theta Kappa, completing 60 credit hours or an associate's degree at your community college, you get a guaranteed $28,000 per year, which is actually increased from last year where it was $25,000. And if you have a 3.75 GPA or higher, you'll get $30,000. Now, everyone here in this chat is a honors member, so you automatically, if you came to Lake Forest, we get a $2,000 per year honors scholarship, solely just for being a member of the honors program at Harper. If you visit campus, either virtually, which we do have a whole slew of virtual opportunities in which you can visit campus, or in person, including the honors visit, you are able to actually get the visit grant just by coming through the honors visit this Saturday. I was about to say Sunday, and I was like, it's not on Sunday. But so you get the visit grant from that, and that is $2,000 per year for visiting either virtually or in person one time to the college, which is pretty cool. Additionally, if any of you are talented in theater, music, or art, you are able, and for music that includes singing as well and art of any medium, you are able to audition to try and get the Fine Arts Scholarship, which is up to about $5,000 per year. Actually, kind of cool, you don't actually have to be a music, art, or theater major or minor to be able to receive that. It's just solely based on your talent. And then you just have to engage in the that department's kind of community in some degree varies depending on department, but in some degree, engaging in the community from year to year, which is pretty awesome and a great way to get some additional funding there. However, I will say scholarships are not everything. Financial aid is a huge factor. About 90% of transfer students who come to Lake Forest are for 2021 were receiving some level of financial aid. The FAFSA is open right now, so you can definitely submit that and get that part started. And that should say using details from 2020, not 2019. I just didn't update that. And then additionally, for international students, we do take the CSS profile, so we are able to get you some additional federal funding for international students. Undocumented students are able to get actually up to $40,000 per year in funding from Lake Forest College. And then the Forester Flagship Program. So if any of you are wanting to live on campus, are Pell eligible, are U.S. residents or permanent U.S. citizens or permanent residents, and are Illinois residents, which all of you would be, then you are actually able to get guaranteed full tuition at Lake Forest College, which is pretty great. The only thing you then pay out of pocket would be your room and board costs each year. To give you some ideas on like what costs look like, I have a nice little breakdown that shows you kind of what all the costs would be depending on what population you're kind of falling into. Forester Flagship, Phi Theta Kappa student commuting, non-Phi Theta Kappa, non-commuting student, or undocumented students. I do always like to point out, I had my financial aid team put these together, and these do include student loans. So if you took out the maximum of student loans that any student in these categories would be approved for. But to give you an idea, if you just subtract the non-loan amount, then you're able to get an idea of kind of what these total amounts would look like without taking out any loans, if that's something you're interested in as well. But really, for Forester Flagship, you would be really paying about $4,500 a year, and then work study would allow you to make about an additional $2,500 that you could then put towards additional costs. If you were taking out full loans as a PTK commuter, theoretically, your loans would be paying you $2,000 more than you would need to be able to afford to attend Lake Forest. So you would actually be able to use that additional fund towards gas cost, book costs, anything like that really works for you in that regard. If you are not a PTK student and not a Pell commuting student, then you would have a kind of out-of-pocket cost of about $5,000 per year. And if you're an undocumented student, commuting to campus, definitely the most affordable option for you. But that would be about $3,000 per year, and there wouldn't be any loan approval in that one. So that's really just kind of a $3,600 per year out-of-pocket cost in that regard. Now, the last thing that I wanted to touch on, if this...
Can I interrupt you just for 1 second, Jordan?
Absolutely.
Thanks. And, we'll talk about this at the workshop next week, but if you just kind of emphasize the numbers at Lake Forest, and it's true at Elmhurst and lots of other places too, their sticker price, right, is $61,000. Yeah. But the price, even if you consider just the loan as part of the cost, right, you're really looking at about $12,000 on average in these 4 scenarios. Mm-hmm. And so if you are, for instance, a distinguished scholar at Harper, so that your tuition's covered at Harper, that means that you are graduating from college with having paid $24,000 total for college, which sounds like a lot, but is incredible compared to what the average is. And it's certainly incredible compared to you look at a school and you see its tuition, and then you just don't even bother to look any further than that. That's the big thing that's super important about schools like Elmhurst and Lake Forest, is understanding the difference between what you think they cost and what they actually cost you. So that's it. I just want to emphasize the point. Okay, sorry.
No, absolutely. No, I think that it is kind of a really great point with that. But yeah, the last thing I really wanted to touch on is really just in terms of transferring credits. And this is something that's, rather essential for all students. Being able to transfer your credits over, making sure that your timeline is, exactly what you want it to be, fits for you, is something that I think is really even in terms of just a cost perspective alone, really important, kind of as John was just touching on. So with Lake Forest, we do really make sure that we are setting you up to be successful in that transition. So if you have an AA or AS, you're coming in at junior standing. If you have 60 credit hours, you're likely coming in junior standing. It's just a matter of that we need to actually review your transcripts and make sure everything transfers over individually. We do accept AP credits, IB credits, everything like that as well. And then if you want to know what your timeline is going to be, depending on what major you're going into, as well as just kind of how many credits are transferring over, where you are with our kind of GEC requirements, send me your unofficial transcripts. It'll cost you nothing. And with that, I can do a full eval for you, do a timeline for you, and we can also figure out exactly what your scholarship and costs would be in that regard as well. So pretty easy to do that and really cost you nothing to be able to kind of figure those things out as well. But yeah. That, though, is everything that I got for you today. All my information is down here, but for the sake of being able to have everyone ask questions, I will close out of this. I don't actually know how to stop sharing. Oh, stop sharing. There it is. Okay. But I will throw all of my contact info in the chat as well. You can feel free to reach out to me at any point if you have additional questions after today.
And if any of you lose the contact info for either Sophie or Jordan, just reach out to Professor Tomasian and I, and we'll put you in contact with them. We were hoping to have a former student, Kimmy Sanfilippo, who won the Elmhurst Scholarship 2 years ago, come in, but she came in, was like, I'm so excited to come to the meeting, and then an hour later was like, I forgot I had something else, so she couldn't come, but she's loving it, and she is doing all sorts of practicums in nursing and getting ready to be an OR nurse herself. But and then I'll just like open it up or turn it back to Jordan and Sophie or whoever to lead questions. But just one little. So I haven't like said this out loud to you, Jordan, or whatever in the past, but like sometimes when we have our little meetings about Lake Forest, I'm like, I don't know, am I just like an unpaid consultant for Lake Forest? And then I realize like, no, this is good that, it's, one cynical way to look at when we're having these people in is like, we're just helping them get you. But we wouldn't do that if we didn't believe in them. And the reason that we believe in them is good luck finding the Sophie and Jordan at some of the other big schools around here. Like if you want to figure out if your classes transfer, we can tell you exactly the person to talk to and they can meet with you one-on-one and it's great. And that goes a long way. And we have several years of alumni now who can attest to having great experiences at both these schools. So if you wonder why we often come back to repeating about Elmhurst and Lake Forest, it's because we've had a really good experience with them. And so they are not paying us to say nice things about them. They could, but they don't. So we just want you guys to kind of know that when you consider this. But if you're thinking about the visit to Lake Forest, and we'll probably set up something similar for Elmhurst at some point, maybe this is a good segue into the larger discussion. You can also think of them as types. So if you decide for whatever that Lake Forest isn't for you, then maybe you want to get out of Dodge and move to the mountain range of the Carolinas. But it'll help you to know like, oh, this type of place is exactly what I like. I just want it in Wisconsin or I want it in North Carolina. And they're sort of similar schools, but Elmhurst is a little bigger and it's suburban and they're just a little bit different from each other. So visiting Lake Forest and Elmhurst and Loyola and UIC and U of I, each one of those schools is a type of school, and that will help you guys in your search.
I think just to reiterate that point that both Elmhurst and Lake Forest really attend to and help with transfer students, and you will be far, far, far from if you go, the only community college transfer students there. And one other thing to say about both schools, I mean, I know I haven't actually been on the visit to Elmhurst, but I think sometimes people look at a school like Lake Forest and think that everybody there is like fancy pants and because like the buildings are pretty and old and everything and like I'm gonna feel like weird and whatever, but it's not true. Like a really large percentage of students at Lake Forest are on some kind of financial aid. And I think what's the number that are Pell eligible there, Jordan? It's quite high, right?
Yeah, so for Pell eligible students, I think it's right around, I don't know what the update numbers are, but I know it was around, I think, like high 70s, low 80s, something like
Yeah.
that.
So it's so there is a huge benefit to schools that really want transfer students from community colleges and are really helping you. That's just not the case at a lot of big universities or other small colleges. But these two, it's definitely the case that they do.
So with that, do any of you all have questions for any of the four of the old people? You guys aren't really old, Jordan and Sophie.
See,
Graduates, any of the four college
Two old
graduates in the
people,
room?
and then the two people in the prime of their lives.
You
Yes.
say that I'm not old, but not like I'm starting to get that now, where like students, like my student workers and things, tell me that I'm old, and I'm like, I'm almost 30. I'm not old.
Well, Jordan, in my class today, I was joking about being old, and one of the students was like, "Well, since there's a generation gap, they kind of did this
Yeah.
in the classroom," and I was like, "No, let's not."
The gap's like here. Like,
yeah. But to be serious, we wanted to invite them in to talk about their programs, but also their jobs were to think about transfer. They are people who went through that process more recently than Professor Tamajian and I. So if any of you have questions about anything, about thoughts about finding a school that fits or about being a competitive applicant to schools, even though Lake Forest waives the essay requirement for you all, Jordan can still give advice about how to write strong essays. We've actually had him in to do that in the past. So the floor is yours, peoples. You use them. Angelin has a question. What would be? I'm going to give a smart aleck answer, Rose, and then I'll let them give a better one. Which is like, if you drive there and drive back, you're a commuter student. If you stay there, then you're not.
Yeah, I mean, really, it is. I mean, a commuter student is just someone who is not theoretically living on campus. So for Lake Forest, basically, it's defined as someone who's living at a home or permanent residence is the definition of it. And permanent residence, by the kind of state of Illinois standards, is quite literally just the place that is on your driver's license, state ID, or driver's license or state ID, and where you have two pieces of federal mail that go to, so like bills or of some sort, electric bills, anything like that. So it's a pretty kind of open-ended bar in terms of what can considered a commuter student. I will also say, I think it's one of the nice things with Lake Forest, and Sophie, correct me if I'm wrong, but from my understanding also with Elmhurst, is that there is a decent commuter population where it is definitely very easy to meet other commuter students, be able to engage in the communities, be able to kind of connect with other students. And with Lake Forest, I'm not sure about Elmhurst, but with Lake Forest, we have like our Commuter Lounge as well, which is a space specifically dedicated to commuter students where you are able to store things if you need to store things so that they have a quiet space to be able to go back to, anything like that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and basically everything that Jordan said, same. If you're not living on campus, then you are considered a commuter student. And yeah, we have like about 1,000 student capacity for living on campus. And our like fall enrollment was like around like 3,500 students. So it's a little under, like it's a little more, commuter school than living on campus. But I mean, commuters, it's what you make, like your college experience, it's what you make of it. Like I was a transfer student myself, and I also commuted, and I still had an amazing college experience. I'm still friends with the people that I went to school with to this day. And if you want to go to campus and leave right away, then that's totally fine. Like you're like, I have my friend group, I'm good. But if you do want that college experience, but you're like, I don't know how I'm going to get that with like being a commuter student, like just talk to people. Like, I mean, both schools are smaller schools, so you're going to be able to see the same people in your classes and your programs, join clubs, like just stay after class and just like do study groups, like just small things. You don't have to do anything big, you know? And it's nice because these schools are small that you're able to really connect with other students, as opposed to like a 500 student classroom, which is a little harder. But yeah, it's around the same. Yeah.
You heard all my clickety clackety. Sorry, I'll type it and say it. Just know this because I happen to run into Kimmy. Kimmy lives on campus at Elmhurst, and so some students choose to do that if it's financially feasible, even though both schools are commutable. But because she had won the full tuition, she could then use money to pay for housing, and for her, that was great. Like, she got involved in her sorority and took on a leadership position, and it was a way. And that is one of the things I think that when you come to Harper and then you commute, like, there is something to be said for the college experience. It's not necessarily something you want to pay $200,000 to have, but there can be positives of being able to do that. Yeah.
I have a question regarding Lake Forest College.
Yeah.
So, I know you mentioned that there's a pathway for the arts and humanities at Lake Forest College. Do you know anything about how it is compared to other colleges and universities across the state or the nation, or not?
Sure. Do you mean what the pathway is like, or in regards to just art and humanities in general as kind of academic areas of study?
No, just in general.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, in terms of kind of comparing it to other schools, I always find that a little bit difficult because every school has a different system for it and kind of what things are. In terms of really kind of career placement and those types of things, I can tell you that for students within the humanities, our placement rate is similarly 96% of the student body as the general, as well as with students within the arts. And we do break arts down into really studio arts and then art history, both running through the same departments, but being kind of two separate splits of that. The career placement rate, I guess grad school or career placement rate, is actually slightly higher. So that ends up being around about 97%, so just over what our average is in that regard. So still very strong programs in that regard. But what I think is really kind of cool in regards to Lake Forest, in regards to our arts and humanities and like the areas within there, through our general education requirements, or really what we call it is the Forester Fundamental Curriculum. It's really just our GECs. You will actually take kind of courses in a diversity of areas within the arts and humanities. So you have kind of this broad spectrum ideal of, you have to fulfill, kind of overarching themes rather than specific courses. So you can really kind of sample things from a diversity of different areas within those fields. And that really allows you to kind of build out credits within different departments or academic areas. And so that is something that I think really makes our students a bit more unique in that regard and allows us to kind of maintain those higher career placement rates compared to kind of nationally or national averages in those fields. I think one of the most common things that people hear, kind of students especially, is that if you are going to go into the arts or philosophy or anything like that, that it's a wasted major because it doesn't help you get to anything. But we've really found that students who have those philosophy skill sets, which, John, I believe you were a philosophy major, weren't you?
Yes, it paid off for me in my case.
But no, so I mean, those types of fields are things that we actually find that our students find great success from. Being able to pair, philosophy, or being a philosophy student and being able to go into, our pre-law track or into, medicine and being a communication student, like those types of factors really make students very desirable as they show a factor of critical thinking or show a level of creativity that is often overlooked. And so those things, being able to pair those things with internship opportunities, and really are the ways that we're able to keep our students successful as they go into those fields.
I gave sort of a quick, smug answer about the being a philosophy major to Jordan, but it's something we talk about in the F4S class. We'll talk about in the workshop. Is that I actually think a lot of times you guys are over taught to think that all majors track to certain professions because some majors do. And so it is really helpful. Like, it's great that Lake Forest and Elmhurst have some of these pre-professional programs that do track, and so you can feel more comfortable doing that. But often what you're doing, if you're getting a major in philosophy or history or English or economics or whatever, is you're just you're training a skill set, and you are developing a way to show that you are a smart and talented person when you go out and look for jobs. It has nothing to do with mapping your major into a specific career. And normally what's going to dictate your future career, if you have majors like that, are internship opportunities, other types of resources that you engage in while you're at the college. Yes, I'm a philosophy major and a philosophy teacher, but I did not go to college to be a philosophy teacher. I was philosophy and communications. I was going to go into sales, but I got the equivalent of an internship. I made a connection at college that was able to get me a 1-year teaching gig overseas, and I fell in love with teaching. But it had nothing. It wasn't because of my major, really. It was because I made connections at the college I was at that allowed me to get into the profession I wanted. I mean, I thought about going back to teach history, but I had taken 0 history classes, so the major played some role. Other
Lake
questions?
I was just gonna say, Lake Forest, in fact, has its own little press. If you like, so of course, they could place you with internships if you were interested in publishing or PR or that kind of thing. But then they also have this like little resource themselves.
Mhm.
I'm from Boston, and so is Professor Tamasian, and the Red Sox are playing, so we're happy to leave the meeting early if we need to. But that's why I had to go to my mom's house, because my mom lives nearby and is a big Red Sox fan. But she's playing Mahjong right now, so I could stay.
Was there a problem with accessing? Because if she's got cable, I know the weird cable channels to watch the Red Sox.
No, she does. She's all set. I tested it last night. But some of you, for real, I hope you'll come next Wednesday to the workshop at 2:00. I think we've got 7 of you currently signed up for the trip on Saturday. Again, if you can make it and haven't signed up yet, though, we would encourage you to really think about it, even if you're thinking maybe I'm still a year away from considering transfer. But if you're not able to come to the workshop, you can just, any questions you have related to finding the right transfer school, we can talk about now well, Jordan and Sophie are here. In fact, maybe Jordan and Sophie, you can help a little bit with your own journey. So I'm curious about what led you specifically to, you were both transfer students. And I'm wondering what for each of you helped you choose where you wound up.
Yeah. Sophie, do you want to start?
Sure, yeah. I feel like I don't have like maybe it is a traditional answer, but I mean, when I graduated high school, I did not know what I wanted to do at all. And so I always tell students, like, especially like first year students, when I meet with them, like, it's like, I'll ask them, like, what do you want to do? And they don't know. And they kind of look a little like embarrassed about that. And I'm like, it's nothing to be embarrassed about. Like, you're only like 17, 18. Like, I did not know what I wanted to do at that age. Like, how can you really like know what you want